And of course, to our cantorial soloist and our cantor as well. Friends, I admit to be among those wandering in the desert, seeking water. I am like one of those who, after the death of Miriam, and just as Aaron too is gathered with his ancestors, questioned, "Why have you forced us to leave a place of certainty? It was lacking in many things, but at least it had certainty, and have led us to this wretched place with no figs or pomegranates, and not even water to drink." I am one of those who is seeking to quench their thirst. And what is the name of the waters which I draw from on this journey? The waters of Meribah, the waters of strife, waters of haste and anger, waters which sustain for the short term, yet push towards bitter ends. This Shabbat, I am wandering as our people do each year in this moment of our reading cycle. From Ovot to Bear. What is Bear? Bear is the well, where the Eternal One said to Moses, "Assemble the people that I may give them water." And the people sang of the great ones who started the digging in the past. "Spring up, O well, sing to it, the well which the ministers dug, which the nobles began." Why? Because Congregation Israel has always been a singing community. And now, the journey continues, says our text, from Midbar to Matanah, from Matanah to Nachaliel, from Nachaliel to Bamot, and downwards, and then upwards and onwards. This week, it feels like we are all wandering a bit, seeking waters, energy, life force that will sustain us along that journey. These past weeks, we have asked of our government and leadership, open up the taps of life. Give us enough so that we can survive, enough emergency aid to see us through to the end of this pandemic, enough for our communities most vulnerable, and enough for our stores and businesses. Enough for each of us, no matter how well off we seem. Open up the taps of freedom and fresh air, open parks, cafe patios, and some social gatherings to keep ourselves going. We ask, knowing that these gatherings and walks in fresh air could be like the waters of our parashah, which in a future time cause death. Yet we clamor for that relief to keep going in the midbar, in the desert. We've asked of our spiritual leadership, open up the fount, give us enough that we can survive. Water here in our text is also Torah. Give us programs and learning and engagement and opportunities for good deeds so that we can find meaning in our lives. This is especially true for those in the midst of tragedy. The plea for water comes after the death of Miriam, just as Aaron is about to pass, in a story which condemns Moses to his fate. I know for families sitting Shiva in Shloshim, the pressures of this journey, compounded by their own grief, is too much. And they, like the people of Israel after these losses, need to sit and gather broken breath before they are able to move on. Being part of Holy Blossom Temple is about community, supporting one another, giving enough to each other in times of hardship and in times of joy. It says in the recently mailed membership packets, and I need to repeat it now, finances are not a barrier to being a full and contributing participant in our sacred community. Our congregation draws from all walks of life, and every walk of life is feeling the strain right now. So please continue to be a member, no matter your situation, because now is when we need each other the most. Or, if you are with us as a guest, consider this a personal ask to join in our sacred partnership of belonging and becoming, of being nourished and nourishing, of being proud to be one of Cantor David Rosen's newest congregants. Give us water so we can survive. Again and again, in many different ways, we ask this of others. And I, as a parent, sometimes want to answer, use your own strength, go get your own water. Or in the words of an overtaxed, overburdened, exhausted Moses, a Moses after a long walk in the desert without air conditioning, surrounded by his whining extended friends and family. Listen, you rebels, you want me to bring forth water from this rock? This emotion, this frustration, could be what it means when the Torah portion continues, naming the stations of the journey of our people. Where, physically and in psyche, did this episode of water happen to the Jewish people, and where did it bring us next? Midbar, desert, wilderness. Gone is the novelty of Zoom and isolation, of goat-to meeting and fun stories of llamas joining business calls. Gone are the funny hats and the banter about COVID cuts, mostly. Now we're in a bit of a grind waiting for the fall, whatever that will bring. Now we're in the stage where newspaper articles are written about how no one noticed that a major fashion executive wore the same shirt, which he keeps on a hanger dangling off the back of his chair, to every Zoom call for the past 3 months. The same shirt. Who could imagine? And sadly, we're reading articles about people being fired from their jobs because their kids could be heard in the background of their Zoom calls. And other stories of exhaustion and, yes, too, of endurance in the wilderness. For those of you without small, demanding Israelites at home, I know this is true for you as well. Even the mental energy it takes as restrictions are loosened, that desert wandering of indecision as to what is truly safe, if the waters of freedom are truly clean enough to drink. So I want to focus on this journey, these stations of our people as they are named in our portion in the Hebrew. Midbar Matana, says our text. The desert can too be a gift. The Talmud tells a story of 2 rabbis, Rava and Rabbi Yosef. There's an accidental slight between them, and so on the evening before Yom Kippur, Rava appears at Rabbi Yosef's place and sits at his feet in apology. Rava, says Rabbi Yosef, even though I am blind, I can tell it is you from the way that you've served me wine in your signature style. Can you please explain to me this verse of Torah, this verse of journeying? Umi midbar matana, umi matana nachaliel. Rava replies to him, once a person is humbled like a desert, midbar, the Torah is given to them as a gift in Hebrew, matana, as it is stated, and from the wilderness, matana. And once it is given to that person as a gift, God lets it be their inheritance, nachalo, as it is stated, and from matana, nachaliel. And once God gives it to them as an inheritance for this generation and future generations, that person can then rise to renewed greatness, as it is stated, from Nachaliel Bamot, which are the elevated places. But if you become arrogant in your Torah, as I, Rava, have, Rava says, God humbles you until you are ready for Torah again. Hearing these words, Rabbi Yosef accepted Rava's apology. What does this verse mean according to Rava? From acknowledging in ourselves a place of lowness, a place of humility and openness, we can be open to knowledge that can lift us up, help us grow to greater heights. We are all seekers in the wilderness looking for water, for certainty, for a return to normal. The new normal in front of us can be daunting because we knew about the past, the figs and the pomegranates. And so we look for others to open the taps of certainty and reassurance. And sometimes they respond and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they respond by reminding us that we are all journeying together. And that though we think we may know a lot about what was and what will be again, we must return to a place of humility and openness. For only from this place of openness can we return to our learning, gaining more knowledge, our sacred inheritance, which can lift us higher and higher. Paraphrasing Rabbi Alexander Kohat, from the wilderness to the divine heritage to the heights. These are the stations in the long wanderings of our people Israel. With the traveler's staff in one hand and the Torah in the other, we journey through the wilderness and the desert of spiritual life. Through our teachings, we renew our inheritance, our legacy, and thereby we repeatedly lift all to greater heights. Learning, we teach, and teaching, we learn how to continually shine our light onto the world. With humility and patience, we learn, we teach, we seek, and along the way, we continually shine our light into the world by the supportive way we journey together. In this way, we pray, the low of the desert becomes a path towards the gift of great new heights. Shabbat Shalom.